Hello, Dr. Cloud. Can you hear me?
I can hear you all the way from Florida. I can hear you.
Yes. So
Okay.
my question today was, I am like I've done all your webinars at least 2 or 3 times. My counselor, who I see once a week, sometimes twice a month, since February 2019. She every time I walk into her office, I cry for about 15 minutes. And she thinks that is what's so good about my recovery is just I'm one of her favorite people because she can see so much progress with God. So I'm really looking forward to the restore one as well. My
Cool.
question is just, am I being, and I think you've answered with Tatiana, is I'm running a company. I have 15 employees. I am going into the busy season, and I'm like, man, I feel like I'm in the depression stage of my grief, and can I manage? Like, can I handle the heart palpitations, and can I can I handle what's the worst that's happening? It's just that uneasy, anxious feeling that I can't finish a spreadsheet, I can't finish a recipe, and it feels like the world is
Oh,
depending
really?
on me to do it.
So you can't finish it because of the inability to concentrate or because of the depression?
I wonder if it's depression because there's a fear component that, especially with COVID, it feels like everything is so disrupted. Trying to get a container on the water has been almost impossible. So there are so many unknowns. It just almost feel like after holding my breath for a year with COVID and constantly
Yeah.
readjusting, I'm just like, oh my goodness, I can't hold my breath anymore.
Well, let me ask you this. What is how's your energy level?
It's really good. I mean, the last 2 days was
Okay.
tough, but I think I ate too
Uh,
much sugar over the weekend. That'll do it.
Well, that's a different conversation. Sugar's not good, but that's not going to affect the system I'm talking about. So, how's your sleep?
My sleep has been amazing the last few, since the divorce, it really got so much better. So I am finally
It's the
sleeping
divorce. Now we got the
awesome.
cure for insomnia is to get a divorce.
You pretty
All
much
right.
do.
So how's your appetite? How's your appetite?
My appetite is amazing. I don't know if I can say this on the air. Um, I'm okay. It can I say something that you've talked about sex before, haven't you? A friend of mine once asked me, "How do I do without sex?" Because I don't believe in sex outside marriage, and there's no way So she asked me, well, "How do you cope without sex?" So I asked her, "Have you tasted my food?" so
Ah,
that's it's like having an experience every time you put a bite in your mouth. So I am absolutely in love with cooking and food. So my appetite is amazing. I do intermittent fasting. So
okay.
I'm
And
that
how
is
so
a joy in my life.
you're not having okay, that's great. I'm checking that one off. By the way, a lot
Mhm.
of people don't know this, but you've got a pleasure center in your brain, and that pleasure center lights up basically about the same way or the same area when you're having good sex, good food, or writing a check to a charity. How about that? Did you know
That's
that
awesome.
giving is kind of a, a financial orgasmic experience? So, okay, so we got now. How is your libido, your sex drive? I know you're not you're not acting on it, but do you have like attractions and feelings and all that when you walk through life?
It used to be fine, but I am not in a healthy place right now to look
Okay, so
at
that's more
any relationship. So
psychological. I'm not
yes,
asking for
no,
a
I choose
relationship. I'm
to.
just asking for the like being aware, like
Oh,
that your body's working.
there's no. Oh, I absolutely. I don't think there's a problem. I don't foresee
Okay.
any problems if
All
I'm
right.
ever been gifted. Yeah,
And your concentration? How's your concentration?
that's the biggest problem. I feel that I can't stay focused, and I'm not concentrated, and that is the worst place that is very evident is when I sit in front of my computer and I have to plan the next 6 months production.
Okay.
Because
What kind of structure do you have in your life? Is it all over the map
I
and you're
have
juggling 1,000 different poodles that are
kind of,
flipping in the air, or do you have a lot of structure and a routine?
I think juggling, it's chaos at work. There's always a curveball within. Like it feels like there are very few half an hour times where I can stay concentrated on one thing. Outside work, I have yoga 3 days a week at the same time. I eat at the same time. I have lots
Good.
of friends who I go walk with. So it feels like I'm holding my breath going to work, and I'm just like when I get away. So maybe
Okay.
the problem is
All
work.
right.
Yeah.
It may be. It may be. It sounds like, when you look at the different systems that are involved in what you were asking about, that you don't sound depressed. You sound like you're dealing with grief and gone through it well. All the metabolic signs of depression, you kind of sound like you're okay on. It may be that COVID has created anxiety states in anxiety and depression in addictions, basically in about 40% of the population, whereas we used to see it in the high teens, somewhere 16, 17, 18% at any given moment would have some sort of anxiety disorder, depression, addiction. Now it's over 40. And largely, what's happened is that the combination what COVID has done with uncertainty and lack of control and lack of structure and lack of routine and lack of close relationships has sent people into a very, very kind of free fall. And those are the areas that when we intervene here, we like to see people begin to kind of check off those boxes. Now you've got a lot of those except at work. And one of the things that I would want you to do, and if I were coaching you as just a leader, I would want you to get more into a control position of what you can control and less into a reactive position throughout the day. And that doesn't mean that you can't manage crises, but it does mean that you can probably add the same structure that you've done a good job creating in your external life into your work life. So what I would do is you're not an emergency room doctor, right?
And that's that's funny. I think I can finish your sentences because that is the one thing I keep telling people at work. Why is this so hard? This is not an ER.
Thank you.
That's exactly
Okay,
what I say.
okay, but if you've ever been around little kids, hard is defined by what makes them uncomfortable, not by what's objectively hard. So here's what I would do. First of all, I would go talk to a psychiatrist and just make sure. Okay, if you're worried about anxiety, depression, get an evaluation. Then you can get it out of your head. But the other thing I would do is I would tell my people, look, we got a lot to do here. I'm going to have some check-in hours. My door's open from 10 to 10:30 for you, or I'm going to have an appointment with you, and I want you to save all of your questions and save all of your problems for when we can talk and go through them in depth with some focus. Because what I can't do is kind of doing them throughout the day and all this chaos. And what you usually see when people do that, when they give an employee, here's our time to go over problems. If somebody's dependent and chaotic and not learning how to solve problems, then they tend to reduce the amount of problems they come to you with. So I would try that, and I would try to structure my workday a little more. But as far as the anxiety and depression, you might want to go to a good psychiatrist. I wouldn't, I'd choose a psychiatrist over like a family doc or something, because you've got some intricacies in some of the different diagnostic criteria. And I'd want to see a good psychiatrist and ask them your question. Do you think I've got any kind of anxiety or depression that I need something for? And I would want a really, really good reason. I wouldn't want you to dive into the world of tranquilizers unless there was some good reason, which I don't hear. But a psychiatrist one.
Yeah. And what I've heard from my employees are amazing. That we've done that with employees. But while you were talking, I realized I had to do it with my inbox of my email. That is
oh
the
my
biggest
gosh.
culprit. Yeah,
Hey,
I need to put because I work with people all over the globe. And
let me tell you something. I'm gonna make you feel better. Okay, you ready?
Okay. Yes.
I'm pulling up my inbox here. Now these are not unanswered. These are read. Are you ready?
Yes, please.
695 unread,
Okay.
unopened emails.
Yeah. That
Just because
I'm sorry
somebody's,
for you, but it does make it. I'm sorry for
I
you, but it
feel
does make
fine.
me feel better.
No, I feel fine.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm not worried about it. I can't just because people decide that they need or want something, and I don't even have a lot of times any kind of no. You've got to prioritize. If you've got a kid, for example, and every kid that skateboards by your house wants to come into your kitchen and take your evening away from you, there's one or two kids they actually live in your house that you might prioritize, but you can't answer everything everybody wants in the whole world at any given moment when they want it just because they decide to. And for you, I would want you to begin to prioritize, where am I going to give my time and energy? And sometimes other people have to deal with, they got to find another source. It's math.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Wish we could talk
I
longer,
have
but
to.
we got to go because the math says we're out of time. One more party
I
shot. What were we going to say?
I just want to tell you it's surreal almost that I talked to you because you have been like a driving factor in my growth the last 6 years. So I just want to thank you for what you're doing. And I've been telling everybody about you, and people think you're listening in. That's how appropriate you are in these times. They think they're listening to my phone. He's listening to my conversation. So thank you, Dr. Cloud. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for your kind words. And I'm glad it's been helpful, and keep tuning in and call us back and get that inbox number up for all the, all the ones you're not answering.